Hello, and thank you for joining us for What is Mindfulness? This is the first in a series of micro trainings provided by the Washington State Employee Assistance Program. I am Carly Osborne, and I am the EAP Education and Awareness Specialist, and I will be taking us through this series. So let's go ahead and get started. First, again, thank you for joining me. I'm so glad that you're here and you're taking the time to listen to this video. The purpose of this is to help us all learn how to be mindful, and we're going to learn techniques throughout the next few months about how we can do that. Each session is going to follow basically the same format, and this is what we can expect. About a 5 to 10 minute overview of the topic that we're talking about. We'll have a practice time of 10 to 15 minutes depending on what we are doing. Some exercises can be done pretty quickly, while others might take a little bit of time. We usually have a discussion after the practice. If you're listening to this on the on-demand video, that discussion will be some reflection questions. It'll be something to help you think about what you practiced, whether this worked for you or not. And then we'll do a quick closing practice. And the reason for that quick closing practice is just to get us ready to go out there and face whatever it is that we're going to be doing after we're done with this. So, as I mentioned, this is a series. It began in January of 2024, and it is scheduled to end in April of 2024. There are 9 sessions total. So including this one about what is mindfulness, we will be going over breath work, body scan, grounding, sound bathing, 3 circles of emotions, meditation, mindful eating, and stream of consciousness journaling. There is no need to bring anything to these sessions. When we do cover things like journaling and the 3 circles of emotion, if you want to bring a pen and paper with you, you can. For mindful eating, if you join us and you want to bring a small snack, you're perfectly welcome to, but there is no obligation. We will go through all of these. They will all be recorded and join this one online, so they'll be available to you whenever you need them. And now what I would like to do is take a moment and actually focus on learning what mindfulness is. And to do that, I've had a fantastic video by Ravi Tangiri, and I will play that in just a moment. But first, a little bit of a disclaimer. The media, including videos, music, articles, and etc., used in this series may contain views and opinions which are those of the authors and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of any other author, agency, organization, employer, or company, including the Washington State EAP. We claim no copyright over any of the materials shared here, and we are only sharing them for informational purposes. The materials that we use in these presentations have either been paid for and used with the author's permission, or they are made available for free for use through Creative Commons licensing. The creators that we use in our presentations are all credited on the slide. Their names are clickable so you can see what other information they have. If the clicking doesn't work for you, a simple Google search will work. So, getting ready to go forward, let's hear from Ravi on what mindfulness is.
What is mindfulness? Well, let me share with you some of the definitions that are floating around from different experts. First, mindfulness is the human ability to be fully present, aware of where we are and what we're doing, and not overly reactive or overwhelmed by what's going on around us. Another one is it's the ability to focus on being intensely aware of what you're sensing and feeling in the moment, without interpretation, without judgment. Also described as the idea of learning how to be fully present and engaged in the moment, aware of your thoughts and feelings without distraction or judgment. And finally, it's maintaining a moment-by-moment awareness of our thoughts, our feelings, our bodily sensations, and the surrounding environment through a gentle, nurturing lens. So, what are the core themes in that? Well, what it means is that it's that ability to focus right now in this present moment. Doesn't mean that you don't have thoughts. No. It just says thoughts pop up, but you don't get caught in them. You're not second guessing yourself. You're not beating yourself up. You just notice them and are observing them. It's the role of the observer to be fully present. And this happens all sorts of times in our life. Think of times where it's been spontaneously what's been taking you into the moment. Think about a beautiful sunset, or perhaps falling in love, the birth of a child, being in nature. These are times when it seems like time slows down and you're not up in your head analyzing what's going on. Is this right or is this wrong? Should I do this? Whatever. But you're simply present. I think about when was a kid, and I used to go out alone in the canoe and just get lost on the rivers, the streams, the lakes. And I didn't really know about mindfulness. I didn't know about presence then, but I just got into that space. I simply was there. I wasn't sitting thinking about stuff. I was just feeling the energy of nature and being there, being present. And it just completely was a time when I was in that moment without thoughts, without analyzing it, just being there and feeling and sensing. Think about times when you've had experiences like that as well. Now, one of the things that may help you understand it better is that we've actually got 3 levels of mind. Okay? Carl Jung said we've got our conscious mind, your unconscious, and the superconscious mind. So your conscious mind, which is what everyone thinks they are, is really all it can do is focus on 7 things plus or minus 2. That's it. That's why phone numbers generally are 7 digits, because that's what you could remember. So if you're thinking about stuff that happened yesterday, a week ago, a month ago, and you're beating yourself up for it, I should have done this, I should have said that. If you're worried about what's coming in the future, if you're thinking, oh my gosh, how am I going to deal with that? A lot of those 7 chunks are in the past and the future. They are not right now, right here in this moment. So that conscious mind, what it's about is bringing those 7 chunks into the moment, out of those thoughts. Now, the challenge with that is your unconscious mind is what runs most of you. Think about it. If your body temperature, do you have to think to maintain it at a certain level? And yet it stays the same. What happens when it gets cold? We shiver, we get goosebumps, it raises the temperature. What happens when it gets too hot? We sweat. We don't do this consciously. It happens automatically. It's run by your unconscious. And what happens is your unconscious mind gets all sorts of tapes from when we're a kid that run in a loop. And these pop up different times. And what you can do is you can consciously get caught up and react in them about, I don't know how to do this, I don't know how to handle. And then you start your conscious mind on that, as opposed to just, noticing, okay, that's a thought. No judgment, just being present with it. So you sort of have to realize what's going on, and it's really about a system of habits. What do you focus on? You build a habit of either focusing here, now, or you build a habit of living in your head and analyzing the past or worrying about the future. Like if you were to cross your arms right now, okay? Just cross your arms. Now, cross them the other way. First of all, a lot of people wind up putting their arms back the way they first started. But if you get to cross it the other way, it's going to feel weird. So if you're used to all your life living in your head and so on, the feeling, the sense of being in this moment is going to seem really, really strange to you. There's a wonderful scene in Eat, Pray, Love, where in the movie Julia Roberts is in India and she's sent to go into this room to meditate for an hour. So she goes and sits, and you can hear the voice in her head in the film. And what happens is she's going on and on about, oh my God, this person in front of me is looking like a diva and knows exactly what they're doing, and going on and on about all this stuff. And then she finally goes, oh my gosh, it must be, must have finished an hour. And she looks over the clock and it hasn't even been a minute. And that's where your conscious mind can get into all these loops. To be present, it doesn't necessarily mean to be silent. But if thoughts pop up, you just notice it. You don't get caught up in it and go on a whole roll. And you just allow it to be, and it drifts away. And over time, you'll find there's less and less and less. And I'll actually show you in one of these videos coming up how to turn off that self-talk. There's a Jedi mind trick that I've learned that's incredibly powerful, where you can turn it off anytime you want. Okay, so the interesting thing is a lot of times people mix up mindfulness and meditation and yoga. One thing you need to understand is that mindfulness is not meditation. Mindfulness is not yoga. They are complementary. I'd say, for me, I would say meditation is a type of mindfulness. It requires mindfulness, but there are other forms of mindfulness in that, and it's just a habit of what you're focusing on. Are you focusing on what's happening now, or are you focusing on stuff that your monkey mind takes you off to in all different directions? So that's habits. Now, one of the things you've got to realize is, you remember I said there's these old tapes that are going on. The old habits that you have are like old tapes running in your head. It takes work to shift them, to change them. That's why they call meditation or mindfulness a practice. You're practicing and you're getting better and better. You want to learn how to change it, but you've also got to be gentle with yourself. You've spent your whole life learning to think the way you do. Don't beat yourself up for it, because then you've just jumped out of mindfulness again. You found another doorway out by beating yourself up. You need to be gentle with yourself. You've invested your whole life learning this way without realizing of thinking this way of thinking. Now, let's build a habit to start to shift step by step by step. And there's different ways to do that. It's different ways to learn to silence that talk. I think it's Joyce Meyer said, if you know how to worry, you know how to meditate. Because worrying is just thinking the same thing over and over and over again. Whereas meditation is focusing on one thing over and over again, being present in this moment. And it's the same skill, the same habit of focus. It's just, instead of focusing on the thoughts, you're focusing now. So for example, right now, if I was to ask you to become aware of how your clothing feels on you, to start to notice around you, what are the noises, what are the things that are going on around you, how warm is the temperature, Perhaps you can even start to become aware of the beating of your heart. These are all things that are in the present moment. And remember, your conscious mind can only focus on 7 chunks of information, plus or minus 2, that's it. So as you bring your focus to these things, there's no space for those thoughts to get caught in your conscious mind. Now, at first, you'll only be able to focus on the present, on your breathing, whatever it is, for for a few seconds or a moment or two. But with practice, you start to extend it more and more and more. And I actually physiologically start to feel a shift where I am much more at peace, and I can start to really be present in a whole different way. And now, because I've practiced it for many, many years, it's very easy for me to get into that state. Now, if you would like to find out more...
Okay, so I'm going to stop the video there. He does provide some information about his other services and resources that he has available. If you are interested in those, again, we don't endorse any one particular person, but if you're curious about more of his works, please do check him out. His name is Ravi, or click the link here in the video and be directed to his site. So, this was our first Mindful Monday session. The purpose of this was to get us thinking about what mindfulness is and how we might use it in our daily lives. We learned that this is something that takes time, it takes practice, so don't expect to be perfect right from the get-go. We also learned that mindfulness is a state of being, and that there are techniques or tools or practices that we can use to make ourselves better at it. Things like meditation, breathing, being out in nature, all of those things. So as we move through this series, we will focus on some of those techniques that we can use, with the next one being breath work. So I thank everyone for joining me today for this video. Before we leave though, let's go ahead and kind of shake ourselves awake, but then settle down where we are, whether that's sitting, standing, relax a bit. If you feel comfortable, go ahead and close your eyes and just breathe normally for a minute or two. Let any thoughts that pop into your head come and go. Try not to really focus on them, and just breathe. And then keep breathing until you're ready to open your eyes and go forth with your day. So again, thank you for joining us, and I will talk to you in the next video. Thank you.